Welcome to Plausible Foolishness. I am one of the two kings of the Rube Empire, right-wing extremist extraordinaire, enemy of the state, enemy of democracy. All right? Enemies of the deep state, the deep underground military complex, and enemies of the satanic cabal and the New World Order. I'm the Philosopher King, the Ivory Tower, and I've got a perspective on things. And with me is none other than
That's right.
Dusty.
Oh, yeah. Enemy of communism, socialism, and every other ism you can imagine. Oh, yeah. That's right. You got the producer right here, the kick-ass Duke. Ha ha. Coming at you live with the king.
Yes.
So, we got a show for you tonight. We got some stuff to talk about. We don't have Ray, unfortunately, so I got to be extra bombastic.
Yeah,
and apparently,
he's not feeling
my
well.
world has been burned down, and I've got nothing left but ruins.
Yeah, well, I think there's a horde of zombies in the streets too, but
That's not good.
yeah,
No.
The world out there is pretty tough. I mean, you've seen inflation, right?
Have you seen the gas prices?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
It went. So on Wednesday it was $4.49 here in Central Florida. A week ago it was $4.06.
Yes.
43 cents in 1 week.
And Nancy Pelosi's worried about gouging. I'm just worried about getting to work.
Yeah. Price gouging.
I mean,
and the thing about price gouging is that it's actually not a thing.
No, it's not. Price gouging is this. Okay, if you have a gas station right next to the airport and you're charging $8 a gallon, where everybody else is charging $2 a gallon, that's gouging.
Yeah.
When
supply drops, prices inevitably must go up because of things called market forces.
Yeah.
So that's not price gouging. That's just the market telling you, hey, we have less of this thing and demand is really high. So in order to even that out, prices have gone high.
Yes. That's the same thing with...
these are necessary items. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And when
kind of like baby formula.
And when they're forced to be inevitably, when they're forced to be, what's the word?
Shortened?
Well, they're forced to stay at a low price that isn't tied to actually, the supply and demand. Well, then people go crazy, and they get way more because they know that supply is low, and so then they end up buying extra. And that's something, well, I mean, and they can do that, It's like we don't, because a time will come when hoarding is demonized too.
Oh yeah.
But
it was that way in the 70s.
Is that not your right to do so if you can afford it? The thing is that the actual price of things has not been included in the equation, and so it actually might, if we let prices be where they are, most everybody would be at least able to get some.
Yeah.
As opposed to some with extra and a bunch with none because they got there late. This is what happens with the freaking... I can't stand it. The government puts their fingers in things and it always gets F'd in the A.
And it always ends up just that way, where a few people have a ton of it and everybody else who didn't prepare properly are left out in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't prepare. And the government, the whole reason why that's happening is because the government went, this doesn't quite look... There he goes. Oh, no, I broke it.
This isn't fair.
We need more equity. Oh,
Yay,
crap. Equity made everybody lose.
Yeah, exactly. Equity is everybody loses. Well, except for the elites.
Everybody.
You know, the elites never lose.
Well, yes. No, yes. Yeah. Well, yes. No.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Let's look at GameStop. You remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The elites,
Quite well.
The elites in those hedge funds stood to lose a ton of money. They did lose a ton of money.
They did
But then
lose.
they just had Robinhood shut down, selling of, or buying of GameStop, so people couldn't get in and hold it. You could only sell it, and then they manipulated the silver market and manipulated information on the silver market, so a bunch of people bought into that, and they just basically made their money back.
Less of a loss, I think, is what it was. But yeah,
they made a ton of money. I mean, I don't know if they
made a ton of money,
profits, but they didn't lose. They didn't lose. They didn't lose.
They didn't lose their shirts. They lost, but they didn't lose their shirts.
Maybe. I don't know the exact numbers, but
I don't know either because they won't publish them.
Yeah, I imagine that they got their money back.
Probably.
And maybe even made it. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if they made a tidy profit off of it. So, are you ready to dig into the news? You ready to jump into the state of the kingdom?
Oh yeah. So, let's double back to the one I talked about just a little bit ago. Nancy Pelosi.
She's the best. Isn't she? Isn't she just great?
She's just awesome lady. She announced an anti-fuel price gouging bill granting sweeping new powers to the president so that he can control more of the circulation of oil. Because that's the problem that we're suffering from.
And he's so good
Biden
at it.
Not in control of the circulation of oil.
He's so good at it too. I mean, everything that he's done for the regarding oil has just been amazing for this country. Just so amazing.
All right, about ready to turn this backwards, and all right, them be fighting words. Let's go.
No, but I mean, hasn't he? Gosh.
No.
Yeah, man, he's doing the right thing and destroying the oil industry and forcing us into greener energy.
It's not like he didn't say that when he was running for president.
Say that again?
Yeah. It's not like he didn't tell us that he was going to be doing all this.
Oh, no, he did.
When he was running for president. So all you Biden voters out there, all you lovely little Biden voters, you owe us a lot of money for fuel. Money for fuel.
Yeah. And enjoy, trashing your gas vehicles and spending, an average of like $10,000 to $20,000 more on a electric vehicle.
That won't last more than 12 years.
Awesome.
Congratulations. That battery?
Okay, that won't last more than 12 years. Okay. Won't get you across the country.
Not easily. Not quickly.
Yeah, definitely not quickly. It will have significant impacts to our landfills in the form of batteries that we have no way to recycle.
A loss in tons of precious metals.
Yeah. Oh, don't forget that the burden that it will put on the energy grid, so that rolling blackouts or brownouts become a regular part of our life, and will consume as much,
if not more,
fossil fuels, if not more, producing that electricity, because renewable, sustainable energy sources aren't efficient enough
and aren't reliable enough.
Exactly. So it's a great plan.
This is wonderful. Okay, tell me this. All right, you want to buy solar panels. All right, solar panels. Cool. All right, renewable energy. How much do they cost? Say a standard 2,000 square foot house. You're looking at somewhere around $35,000 to $40,000 to replace the energy that you're currently consuming with renewable energy from your solar panels.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? That'll drop your electric bill to usually $10 to $12. But now you have a payment for the next 25 years of nearly $200 to $400, depending on the interest rate.
Oh, well, I did not have that. So we, yeah, we switched to
rebate.
solar.
Oh,
in
the
my house.
rebate that promised you from the federal government?
Yeah.
Yeah, not everybody gets that. Not everybody gets approved by it. So that guarantee, no, it's not a guarantee. It's a maybe.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. But there's a ton of people that don't get qualified for the rebate.
Yeah, you have to there's
certain requirements.
Well, if you have a good salesman, they should factor those requirements into the initial sale. But ours cost about 20,000 something, 23,000. We don't have 2,000 square foot house, and our payment is $102.
Yep.
Now, in the summer, we were paying over $200 for, and then in the winter, we were still paying $89, $90. So it actually is a huge benefit for us. It's going to save us a ton of money. But you're right. We do have a payment for the next 30 years.
By the way, the
that's
panels
also
only
transferable with the house. So that's a good thing.
Yes. But the panels only last about 20 years.
Yeah.
So you have a payment plan that's longer than what the panels will actually
I'll have to check on the years. I'll have to check on the years. But yeah.
Yeah. So there's
mean,
problems.
If you're smart, you pay it off early.
Energy.
If you're smart, you pay it off early.
100% agree with you. If you can pay it off within usually about 2 years, you're ahead of the game.
For sure.
The issue is you're paying off a huge chunk of money. And when does the money that you get from the system surpass what you
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
It was about immediate reduction of our monthly costs.
And I completely understand that fact. The issue is you still have that monthly payment that I would say is still your energy bill.
Yeah. That's the way I treat it. I just traded in my OUC energy bill for a cheaper solar
panel.
Yeah.
Hopefully cheaper. Hopefully you don't have.
I mean, ours, it wasn't before, but like 6 months into last year, it just went from a regular bill to like, it just jumped like crazy.
Yeah.
And it didn't go down. It just kept going, you know?
Here's the other side of the equation. OUC dictates what they rebate you for the amount of energy you create. Yeah. Those solar panels are not tied into your power grid. They're tied into OUC's power grid, and you're supplying them with energy, not your house.
Yeah.
The only time you're supplying your house is if you have an in-home battery panel.
Yeah, which
that's
costs
the
more,
only clause.
Which is another like $15,000 to $20,000.
Yeah, and that's the only way you can actually get around the structure laws of Florida.
Yeah.
Every structure in Florida has to be connected to the grid. Now, funny story of from when I worked with the solar panel company is a lady who lived in a trailer home got solar panels put in her backyard, enough to generate power for her entire system, and she had a battery backup system and really used no energy whatsoever. So what did what did she tell OUC when she would live up north for 6 months? I'll just shut off my power. OUC said they can't do that. Well, she used about $10 worth of power and then never paid the bill. What did OUC do? They came out and turned off her power. She still owes them $10, but she's running everything off of her solar panels and her battery pack.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's smart. So dumb. Freaking.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
It's
so
ridiculous,
stupid.
some of the laws.
It's them shooting themselves in the foot.
But at
Yeah.
the same time, OUC rebates at, I think it's 8 to 9 cents per watt
Mm-hmm.
or kilowatt. It's ridiculously low compared to the 40 or 50 cents they charge per kilowatt.
Yeah. Of course.
My thing is, if you're generating that power, they need to be paying you the same amount that they're charging you.
Yeah. Or I can understand a little bit less because they are a for-profit business. You know?
But they're not, it's not
well,
costing them any
yeah.
money for you to be on their grid.
Agreed.
You're actually
Agreed.
paying them.
Agreed. But I can still see a small, variation. I don't think it's right, but I could still foresee it. What's really, to me, not right, like, all of that is whatever. The business can do whatever they want. You know? What's not right is that we, as citizens of a free country, are forced to use their product.
Correct. We have absolutely zero choice. That is a full-blown monopoly
Yes.
of what they have. You can't choose between
there's no competitor.
one
I
power
can't
company and
switch.
another power company.
I can't switch. Yeah.
No.
There's no competition whatsoever. You just get whatever your area is, and that's all there is to it. And I think it's like that everywhere.
Yes.
And that's egregious. And really, that's another thing that DeSantis should be about. It's one of the things I would be about.
Yeah.
But yeah. Freedom. Go figure. Anyway.
Choice is always a great thing.
Yep.
That's what the free market's all about.
Competition, choice.
What is it? Competition breeds excellence.
Yeah, something like that.
How quickly do you think that the power companies would start building nuclear power plants if they started having to compete for business?
Interesting. Yep. And laying, their own power lines. First of all, we need a different system than the overhead power lines, especially in a state like Florida or anything on the East Coast that gets hit by hurricanes.
The issue is with underground, because we're essentially living on a sandbar.
Yeah.
And the aquifer is so close to the soil, they can't put the power lines underground.
Yeah.
So it's either above ground or not at all.
There's got to be a better way.
Well, yeah, you could go with Nikola Tesla's plan of beaming the energy, but you still don't know if that's really going to work.
You do. I saw the Prestige. Okay, he had light bulbs in the ground.
Yeah,
that's all you need. Just electrify the ground.
Anyway. That sounds safe.
Yeah, totally. He was walking on it. He was walking on it.
Doesn't mean he wasn't getting electrocuted.
Nobody's more trustworthy than David Bowie as Tesla. Okay.
We have another article about the Roe v. Wade, and this one's a rather interesting one. I'm not surprised. The leftists are eating themselves alive, as usual. The pro-abortion advocates turn ire towards Pelosi and many other Democrats as complicit in Roe v. Wade decision because they couldn't pass a bill that would legalize abortion through the first trimester federally.
It's not their purview.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, they
They
couldn't
missed it.
they couldn't muster the votes, so that's what
They missed it
that's why
by
they're
that
upset.
much.
Yeah, that's what they're upset about. But I don't think it would be constitutional.
Well, they would have to amend the Constitution if they want to make it constitutional. Or they could just pass the law that says, hey, everybody in the states, this is legal up until this point. And then it would come back down to the Supreme Court and go, well, is it constitutional? Nope. Usually that takes a couple of years. But it does happen. And the left is just ticked off that the Democrats, who had control of everything, knew that this was coming and didn't do anything about it till just now, and they still didn't get it passed. Which I'm not angry with the Democrats, because I have the same anger at the Republicans for the exact same thing. They drag their feet, they drag their feet, they drag their feet. Oh, we gotta get something done. Oh, we can't. Okay. Here's your turd. Enjoy.
I'm happy. I don't mind when Congress can't get anything done.
They can't get anything done ever.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter what it is.
I think that in most cases that's a good thing.
Well, it's been proven over and over again.
What they want to do is garbage usually.
Well, yeah. Are we going to talk about the 40 mil or 40 bill?
Yeah. That's what I.
Is that later?
I named the episode $40 billion. So.
Okay. Because I was going to bring up the fact that they got something done because they spent $40 billion. Here you go, Ukraine. Wrap it up. It's not going to do a thing for you. Well, enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time to talk about that. They have no problem spending money, which is ridiculous because we're dealing with ridiculous inflation.
Massive inflation
is insane, and we're going to send $40 billion out of the country to another country so that they can fight a war. And now you got all these people talking like we are at war with Russia by proxy.
Yeah, technically we are.
Well, that's what I mean. Isn't that what we said at the very beginning of this thing?
Stuff. Yeah, by giving the weapons that we have, the training that we have, the refuge that we have to the Ukrainians, we are fighting this war through Ukraine.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a war we need to be in. I don't think it's a war that we need to be fighting. Because
why are we fighting it?
Why? I don't want Russia to invade Ukraine, but at the same time, it's not our fight. Yeah. Why are we spending billions and billions? I think we've almost spent $1 trillion. Why? I know why. They hide money for Biden and his cronies.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Like, the reason we keep sending them tens of billions of dollars every other month is that they're laundering it back to these.
It's probably going back to Biden.
Yeah.
Or let me say, his son, who has never ever slept with a family member.
Yeah. It's getting spread out amongst a bunch of people. You know, this is New World Order garbage.
What was it? $7 million after Roe v. Wade was announced, and went to the Democratic Party. I wonder how much of that came out of the $40 billion that we just sent over there.
Right. Well, on top of that, you got Finland joining NATO now, and Sweden might not be too far behind.
I'll be shocked.
NATO's
Sweden
expanding. That's cool.
Oh,
more
yeah.
countries that we have to go to war if they go to war, you know.
And who would they go to war with? Who would they go to war with?
Russia, China. I mean, who are
and
the
who would
actors?
fight that? All right. If Russia and China both decided, hey, guess what? Boom, boom, boom. Who is actually going to fight that war? Is Sweden going to fight it? Is Finland going to fight it? Is
really.
England
Not
going to fight it?
substantially. I mean, they may have
No.
troops that they can send, but generally not.
Insignificant troops.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they won't have a part to play. I'm just saying the United States will bear the majority of the burden. Once again, as usual, the United States will bear the burden.
For sure.
And why? Why?
The United States.
Why do we need to be fighting
It'll
China
be
and
the
Russia?
United States, England, and Australia.
Yeah.
Germany and France will have their presence there. Yeah.
What about Japan? The collapsing economy of Japan.
Yeah. Everything's a crap show.
Oh,
I mean,
Japan is
it
just
all.
their economy is just.
But
Oof.
yeah. Well, I mean, and China's isn't doing great because they're locking themselves down again. You know.
Oh yeah.
And their lockdowns are no joke. I mean, our lockdowns were bad. Their lockdowns are. I mean, you're sitting in front of, that's a window looking out on Shanghai right now. Behind you. So that's what lockdowns look like in Shanghai. Yeah. Well, yeah, it still didn't do anything. It didn't actually save them from COVID, but no, but yeah, it's so their economy's hurting. It feels more and more like this Russia-Ukraine war is just a stage show. It's just a play. And you'd think, what did Russia get out of it? They're, everything's their oligarchs are having their yachts impounded and and all their assets frozen, and it's like, yeah, I mean, that can just quietly be overturned,
Okay.
a month after this ends, and nobody talks about it, and then like assets can be unfrozen and yachts can be taken out of the impound, without us ever
Just as
hearing about
easily.
it.
Yeah, just as easy as they went in, they
Yeah.
can come right back out.
And then
And usually do.
what's happened to the ruble? It tanked, but it rallied back. It might actually be doing pretty good comparatively.
So
and they're working their way towards accepting the ruble as a currency for oil.
Yeah.
Which hurts the dollar. We talk about the managed decline of America. This is a real thing. And the biggest step is for the dollar to no longer be the reserve currency for oil. Get rid of the petrodollar. And they're doing it. I mean, there's several European nations that have refused to do it.
How long will that last?
A.
Yep.
I think that there are others that are doing it through some kind of exchange or whatever. They're still sending dollars, but then those dollars are getting translated into rubles. Which is why the ruble is doing all right.
Their oil is keeping them alive, which I don't blame them. That's exactly what I would do if I was in their position.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a question for you.
Well, so meanwhile, also, meanwhile, America is declining on the world stage, and B, NATO is expanding. But really, it's this. I mean, the whole we talked about with the Ukraine joining the EU. And them talking about fast tracking. We talked about that like a month or two ago.
I think it was right when
Yeah, it
Russia
was like
invaded
right after it
Ukraine.
started. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard anything about that, but it just feels like the European Union, the West, is getting tied together even tighter. You know,
Yeah.
into this one world government, into this new world order.
Yep.
You know, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Meanwhile, we've got a baby formula shortage. I mean, it's literally nowhere. You
Yeah.
can't find it. And you think, well, moms can just breastfeed. Well, yeah, some can,
Some
but
can, not all.
not some babies are medically required to be on formula because
Yeah.
they would.
Uh, or some kids don't latch well and
Yeah,
thus aren't getting enough food from the breast milk. Guess what? The only alternative, baby formula.
I think there's
What do
even
you
some
do?
allergies that could come into play or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Um,
there's lots of reasons why your child might need to be on formula instead of breast milk. And what are these parents going to do?
yeah. So 98% of the 98% of all the formula that the United States uses is made right here in the United States.
Hmm.
The whole shortage, they're stating, is due to not getting enough supplies to make the formula. Why? If it's all made right here in the United States, why are we having trouble making it? Biden, you going to answer this one? Oh, that's right. You won't. Because why? It's your fault. It's your fault. Yep. Yep. Shortage of food supplies, shortages of manufacturing plants that manufacture a lot of the supplies for baby formula have magically burned down.
Hmm.
There's been 55 factories in the last 6 months that are major food producers have all burned to the ground or been damaged irreparably. What is going on?
I also heard something about like a recall or something like that, like a massive recall that took place regarding baby formula or something.
I haven't heard about that.
I let me look up. Let me look some things up.
Well, all right. So we'll put that on the back burner. I just found an article. Biden and the gas oil leases that he keeps talking about, how there's so many of them. Well,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? The Biden administration is now canceling sales for leases. There's 2 in the Gulf of Mexico and 1 in Alaska that he went, nope, I don't care. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. It's okay. People can pay $5 a gallon, $8 a gallon, $12 a gallon. It's fine. It's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Yeah. Looks like Joe is doing a great job of making inflation his top priority by raising gas prices even more by canceling these oil rights. Good job, Joe.
Yep.
Batting
Managed
1,000.
managed decline. We got a deep state update. Psaki
Oh,
confirmed supplies are being ordered from other countries. China will not be one of those countries for sure.
Oh, I'm sure. And
Yeah,
it'll only take a
I'm sure we
month to
won't
two
get
months for
Chinese.
all that stuff to get in here.
Yeah.
So, how did we go from 2 years ago being energy independent, where we produced more energy than we consumed and we're selling it to other countries, to being so much of a buyer of energy in 2 years? 2 years. That's all it took, was 2 years. How? In a word, Biden. Good job, Biden. Good job canceling that pipeline. Good job putting all those people out of business. Good job not opening up oil fields in the United States so we can keep producing oil at the same rates in which we're consuming it, so that the gas prices don't go shooting through the roof, causing truckers to have trouble getting supplies and getting their trucks where they need to go, causing all these other issues, one after another, after another, after another. All these issues stem from one bad decision, then another bad decision. On and on and on. It's called compounded interest. His interest compounds, and it ain't for the good. Oh, man, the sky is just.
For sure.
I mean, there's gas companies all over the place that could be producing oil right now, but if they produce even a drop of oil, they'll get fined into oblivion because of federal mandates.
Okay,
Who controls that?
So there was earlier this year, in February, there was a baby formula recall of Similac, Alimentum, and Elecare formulas from Abbott Nutrition because 4 infants were hospitalized with bacterial infections. So in February there was a big recall of some major brands. And
those are some huge brands.
Yeah, Similac especially.
Yeah, that's what I gave my kids when they were younger.
Yeah, and then, and now we're dealing with supply chain, production, whatever reasons on top of that.
Yep.
There is plenty, deep state. There's plenty of baby formula in other countries. Hunter is new czar of baby formula and will be getting more formula from not China.
I'm sure he will. And what's going to be inside that formula? I don't know. Hold on. I need to do an Amber Heard.
Yeah, right. Well, why'd you turn your head? You just go right in front of everybody.
Oh, my dog.
Here's the other thing. We're sending all this food and stuff to Ukraine. Guess what's going along with it? Baby formula. Oh, also I saw an article about immigrants being given baby formula and being given baby formula first.
Of course, because why not?
Yeah.
Because, Americans don't need baby formula. They don't need to feed their kids baby formula. They just don't. They're Americans.
I mean, we want them to die anyway. That's why we're so upset about Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
All right.
So, funny story, real quick before we get into the main thing.
Well,
you watched the Kentucky. That is one of the main things. Yeah. But just a funny story here. Did you watch the Kentucky Derby?
I didn't. But
did you hear about it?
A lot of people are talking about it. I don't know much. I think it was like a very long shot one. That's
the longest shot in the entire Kentucky Derby.
In the history of the Kentucky Derby. Wow.
The longest long shot. The jockey had never ridden in the Kentucky Derby. Okay. And then the horse was a very young horse.
Okay.
Only had done a couple races. 80-1.
Wow.
You imagine slapping $100? Yeah, I want Rich Strike, $100.
It's $8,000, right?
Yeah.
Man.
And there's people that drop. Hey, I want 10,000 on each horse.
Yeah.
The payout is just ginormous for that thing.
It's insane.
Yeah. So it was a really cool race. I happened to be waiting for a table at a restaurant and watched the Kentucky Derby when it actually happened, and I'm just like, wait, why is everybody going nuts? Because halfway through, this horse is just making its way through the whole thing, and okay, who cares? And then he wins, and it's like everybody just loses their mind in the restaurant. And I had to lean over to my wife. What's happened? She goes, yeah, it's a long shot, just one. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just not that in touch with the Kentucky Derby. Kentucky Derby to me is like prom. You know?
Yeah. Like,
yay! All right, it's done.
Yep. Just an excuse for,
People to get dressed up.
yeah, people to wear big hats and.
Gosh, the hats.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, horses are great. I love horses. They're beautiful animals. I wouldn't
love riding
mind
horses.
dropping some money if I had it on a stupid race, but and then making 80-1 odds, that would be amazing.
Right?
But
otherwise, how often does that happen? Oh yeah, first time in the history of the Kentucky Derby.
Deep State says Houston's Mattress Mac lost $2.6 million on the Derby. Silly Texans. $2.6 million lost.
Oh, it's insane. It's insane what people like. That horse is worth millions of dollars now.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
he's young. He's got a lot more races to run too. So
no, once a horse wins the Kentucky Derby, he's put out for stud.
Well,
that's
that
it.
Would make sense, yeah. But
yeah.
But aren't there other races? Isn't there like a Triple Crown or whatever?
Yeah, there's other races.
So, like,
more than likely, the horse will be sold to somebody else because he's worth so much more money now.
Yeah.
And yeah, that'll be it. And the jockey goes on to ride another horse.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
It's interesting.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were saying about the other article.
Okay, so you gotta love those fact checkers, right? They're just
what fact checkers?
Well, the people who claim to be fact checkers that are actually propagandists. But
yeah, okay.
One such
I was going to say I don't know of any fact checkers.
Yeah. There's one site called PolitiFact, and it should be called Politiganda or whatever, but
yeah. Yep.
They came out with an article that I noticed today. Lots of people tweeting about it on ye old Twitter. Article's titled, Why It's Not Grooming. What Research Says About Gender and Sexuality in Schools. Research.
Research.
Welcome, friends, to the Church of the Science. Let's see what research says about gender and sexuality at schools. All right. And guess who they're talking about in the opening paragraph?
Florida?
Yes, but a specific person. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' press secretary, Christina Pushaw. Okay, I see her on Twitter all the time. Did not know. Her bio on Twitter says nothing about her being his press secretary. Not a thing. I had no idea.
She's just awesome.
Yeah. She is. She's great on Twitter, too. She doesn't mention it. Anyway, press secretary Christina Pushaw she mentions Ron DeSantis as being like a cheerleader for him or like support for him, but like you can just take that to mean she's a fan and just a regular person, but whatever. Okay. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' press secretary Christina Pushaw was not happy that critics had nicknamed a controversial Florida law the, quote, "don't say gay law," because it doesn't mention anything about that. She retorted by deploying a term that quickly became a political grenade of its own. Quote, grooming. Why is it a political grenade? Because it's accurate.
Oh, no. don't be accurate when you're
Yeah.
describing leftists.
To quote Pusha, or however you pronounce it, the bill that liberals inaccurately call "Don't Say Gay" would be more accurately described as an anti-grooming bill, she tweeted in early March, referencing the measure that prohibits classroom instruction on issues of gender identity and sexual orientation in kindergarten through 3rd grade.
Okay.
For decades, the word grooming has been associated with sexual abuse, child sexual abuse in particular. This is true. But it also has it can be used broader, and I'll get into that later. David Finkelhor, director of the Crimes Against Children Research Center and sociology professor at what's that?
He is not. David Finkelhor?
Yeah, Finkelhor. Director of the Crimes Against Children Research Center and sociology professor at the University of New Hampshire. Defined it
Why
as
don't we just have Anthony Weiner?
Yeah, right. Defined it as, quote, a set of behaviors and manipulations that adults use to make it easier to introduce and complete sexual interactions with the child without having to use physical force. Completely accurate. Grooming might involve gift giving, taking a child on special outings, focusing attention and compliments on appearance, or providing a child with special privileges. It is typically aimed at one or very few potential victims, not a group. True. What it does not refer to is the kind of activity that Florida's measure now prohibits: instruction that touches on topics of sexual orientation or gender identity. That's just the article writer. That is not Finkelhor quoting it. That's just her opinion.
Yeah. I always love the fact that they put their opinion in there, and even though this is a political fact, no, you're putting your opinion in.
Piece.
Thank you.
Madison Chopek is her name. There's no quote. There's no authority saying this. And even then, I would disagree with them. But this is just her opinion put in as a PolitiFact. So, and then she goes on with more opinions. This narrative is rooted in past anti-gay movements. The weaponization of the term grooming is tied to a history of long-standing false claims that gay, lesbian, and bisexual people, and men in particular, molest children at higher rates than people who are not LGBTQ. Research shows that the idea is false, and this takes us to lgbpsychology.org. Facts about homosexuality and child molestation article from lgbpsychology.org. Do you think lgbpsychology.org might have a, dare I say it, a bias?
Only slightly. Okay, a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so she goes on with her opinion. Misusing the term grooming revives this old harmful falsehood, experts said, but in the wake of Florida's law, Pushaw and others have used the term to imply that people in the LGBTQ community, or even just those who discuss LGBTQ topics, are deliberately preying on children by discussing sexual orientation and gender identity. Whether or not they're LGBTQ, that's actually not true. It has nothing. I mean, it does have something to do with LGBTQ topics, such as sexual orientation and gender identity, but it's sexual conversation of any kind. Heterosexual,
it doesn't matter gay, straight, or otherwise.
Sexuality, orientation, gender identity, none of that has a place being taught to your children in school.
Listen,
that is between
I send my kids to school to learn about math, reading, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The life stuff, that's my job.
Yes.
Learning about life, learning about sexuality, everything else, that's my job to teach my family and my kids.
Even this social emotional learning, that's the parents' job, to teach kids how to control their emotions.
Yes.
I found this really great Substack called the Free Black Thought Substack.
Okay.
And they're like, it's and on it I found uh, another organization called the Theory of Racelessness. And so basically, they're just teaching being colorblind, right? We're all
Oh, okay.
humans. Race is not a
You mean
thing.
what they taught in the 90s?
Yeah, exactly. But what's interesting about it is that they're playing into, so like they're obviously being teaching what is being taught in the 90s, but they're doing it in this academic way, okay? And kind of like uh, um they're coming alongside the anti-racist movement, right?
Okay.
And you know, the social justice woke nonsense, and they're using the same terms, you know. They're not shouting against anti-racism. They're saying anti-racism is a great goal, and so if you want to really be anti-racism, you should be anti-race. That there is no such thing as race, and if we abolish the idea of there being races of humans, then we'll abolish racism. Racism will be gone. You know, so they're
Okay.
they're kind of hijacking CRT
Yeah.
and using what's become a phenomenon to deliver the ideas of the 90s and the ideas of Martin Luther King Jr. and so on and so forth. It's really kind of brilliant. It's really kind of brilliant. And the free black thought thing, they did a whole thing on SEL, on social emotional learning, and how originally social emotional learning there's traditional social emotional learning, which is basically just teaching kids how to identify their emotions, which is what parents should be doing, how to identify
Yes.
their emotions and how to deal with them, and then how to engage in a social context with emotions and so on, you know? All a parent's job, really. But this new
Pretty much.
social emotional learning is called transformative social emotional learning, which is really about teaching kids to be activists, right? Anyway, and
Yeah.
that you
Pretty
might
much.
be like, why does that play in? We'll get to that, but let me finish this article. Quote, when did our public schools, any schools, become what are essentially grooming centers for gender identity radicals? Fox News host Laura Ingraham said on her March 9th show. As a mom, I think it's appalling, it's frightening, it's disgusting, it's despicable. She's right. Jennifer McGuire, professor in the Department of Family Social Science at the University of Minnesota, said that perspective stems, quote, from an underlying desire to separate people who are different and to characterize them as less than or as evil. So it's a new form of homophobia and transphobia, or it's maybe the same old form but with new language. No, it's freaking accurate. There's plenty of homosexual people
Yeah.
that don't want kids to be taught about sexuality when they're 3.
Or
There's
5,
plenty.
6, 7, 8.
But
Yeah.
there are people who are doing it and they need to be stopped. Those are the groomers. But they're trying to conflate everything together. Yeah.
Of course they are.
Let's see, how long is this article? Oh, geez, it's super long. So, so let's get into. I'm gonna
It's
stop
not
reading
just
the
long,
article
it's
right now,
super.
and we're gonna get into why the word grooming is appropriate, not just because of sexual molestation grooming, right? Um,
Oh no.
Deep State says
Another deep state.
lgbpsychology.org is not let's go Brandon psychology.org. Okay. Very true. That is true.
Horrible.
Uh, so what is why is grooming appropriate beyond just sexual molestation? Because what they're doing is not just so like okay, let's put it this way. Have you heard of the Cultural Revolution in China?
I can't say that I have.
Okay, so when Mao took over China,
Yes.
and implemented, ushered in communism to China,
Yeah.
he implemented a project, called the Cultural Revolution, and what they did
Okay.
was they started with the schools, and they took the kids and they indoctrinated them into the communist agenda.
Like
And
every other administration has ever done with children.
sure,
Indoctrinate as much as possible.
yes, and so they taught them that their parents were wrong, and their parents were part of the old order, and that they were holding everything back, and that they taught them to tell on their parents. They basically alienated the kids from their parents.
Yeah.
So that they could indoctrinate them into what the regime is about.
Mm-hmm.
And turn them into little activists.
Sounds about right.
I mean, that's grooming.
Yeah.
It's not obviously the end goal is not the same. The pedophile wants to complete a sexual act with the child. Disgusting.
Same thing with China. It's just different form of it.
Yes. The end result is different. China wants to create a little activist.
Yes.
A little cultural soldier. But the method is exactly the same.
Correct.
And that's why this is so appropriate, because it's not just that every teacher who's teaching sexuality and gender identity and all this stuff to little kids is trying to get them in bed. They may not have that intention at all, but they do have a sinister intention, and that is to turn these kids into little trans kids and little homosexual kids, but more importantly, into political activists for the revolution. Viva la revolution, that is the goal. They're turning them into little Marxists, and they're using sexuality to separate them from their parents and their families. And here's the other thing, to destabilize them. That's another thing that was part of the process. You create this gender fluidity narrative, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the most formative years of a person's identity, going through puberty, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you create this world of complete instability. And they're far more easily manipulated in that state.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. All for political power.
There's a reason why Jesus told the proverb about the man that built the house on the rock versus the man who built his house on the shore.
Mm-hmm.
The foundation in which he built his house plays all the difference.
Yep.
Build your house on the sand, the shifting sands, it'll fall on top of you. But if you build your house on the rock, the solid foundation, it's not going anywhere.
There's a great song by a band called Petra named I Am on the Rock.
Yep.
Great song.
Love that song.
Great
Love
song.
that song. Love
look
the
it
band.
Up. Go to Spotify right now and look it up.
And
Anyway.
look up the album This Means War.
Yeah.
Great album. Great album.
Yes. Man, I love
Beyond Belief is one of my top 10 favorite songs of all time.
I don't know which is my favorite Petra song.
Said it's in my
I Am
top
on the
10.
Rocks pretty high up there. Yeah, anyway. Look it up. It's
Good
a great song. I love it. It's good classic rock.
Yeah.
I mean, they were a really great band, you know, despite being entirely Christian. Like, it's good good music, good lyrics, better than the crap we sing at church these days. I mean, I love it. You know, there's the occasional song that's pretty good. I like the one that we're singing a lot now. He Won't Fail.
Oh, yeah.
He won't fail. You know, whatever. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. The message is strong, and like it has some that part of He Won't is pretty solid musically. It's not like it's no Color Song by Petra.
Yes, war.
But yeah, man, most of it is just so boring.
Yeah,
and like
it's
the
dull.
same tired lines in every song. You know, not that like the subject matter isn't tired.
No, subject matter is just as relevant as it was back in the day. The issue is the song is just it's repetitive and just.
Well, the entire Christian music industry is built on 4 chords.
Seriously.
You can tell that's a trope. It's a meme, but it's the God's honest truth. Every single song can be played on 4 chords. So like
that's also most
innovation whatsoever.
The most popular pop songs are all the same 4 chords.
True.
So I mean, it's not just Christian music; it's pop. A lot of country music use those same 4 chords.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you know what that is? That's because the music industry is mostly like the music industry's model is to find people, and they don't care whether those people can actually perform.
Yeah.
And especially they don't care if that person can write music because they just have teams of people that write the music. Here, we think you have the looks and the charisma to be a star. Here's plenty of music for you. Also, we own everything that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's garbage. It's terrible. Rock is in the same boat. Rock sucks.
These days. Yeah. There hasn't been an original rock song 10, 15 years. But they were saying that back in the 90s, too. There wasn't original rock songs. And then the explosion of rock music, and then it died again. And then another explosion, and then it dies. And it's one of those things that
the thing is that the corporation always tries to glob on what's hot, you know? But
they're always going after what music can we get the most people to listen to, because that way more people buy, instead of making good music for this niche, good music for that niche. There's enough artists out there that they can do that, and the internet is finally starting to get to that point.
Oh, for sure. The only thing is that to me, it feels like mostly only rappers, hip hop, is the one utilizing the internet to make their to make their music and bypass the industry. But
what's his name? Oh my gosh, he's been on the show 4 times. Come on, I should know his name. Topher. Topher's a great example of that, bypassing all these other people to just post his music and reap all the benefits.
For 100%.
So
he's making a living doing it.
Right there.
It's pretty amazing.
And it's good.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
For sure.
I love his music.
Definitely.
And I'm not a rap person. There's some rap I like, but for the most part, I don't like rap. So
I especially like his group Space Force and their nonsense songs.
Yeah.
Where they're just having fun and they're not necessarily being political. They're just talking about going to the moon and getting that cheese.
Yeah.
Hilarious and a freaking great song. Anyway,
One of my favorite songs. It's weird, and it's about the sun, how it's a big ball of gas.
Yeah.
I play that song for my kids all the time because it's funny, yet it's factual and science.
Mm-hmm.
The kids think it's awesome. It's how they learned about the sun, about the planets, and everything else.
Let me see something. Okay, there is a band called Highly Suspect. They curse a little in their music, but they've got
I find
two
that a little
songs.
suspect.
What's that?
I find that highly suspect.
Yeah, but not all of their whole album isn't like amazing, but they do have a couple songs that are unusual in their musicality, in their composition, that I find really, really good. A surprisingly different take than the just absolute garbage that is being produced in the rock scene these days. So
Yeah.
the names of the song is "My Name Is Human" and another one called "Little One." So that's I could recommend those two songs. So I don't know. That's just a little gem that I found. But yeah, for the most part, music is just awful, just awful. Well, I mean, also if you like instrumental metal, there's a band called Polyphia, Polyphia. It's all instrumental music. These kids are freaking geniuses, and it's metal. But then the drummer is playing hip hop beats
Really?
to the metal. Oh my god, they're so good. Look up "Goat" by Polyphia.
Okay.
It's phenomenal, and all of their stuff is like that. And the whole album is just great listening, but there's no words to it. It's not, instrumental is great, but I mean, I want
Are you
some
knocking
vocals
John
too.
Williams?
No,
Are you knocking John Williams?
I just
I
want to
mean,
sing.
come on.
I want to sing.
Just want to sing. Stop.
If you didn't know what that was a reference of, I'm sorry.
You really, 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 really need to get some comedy in your life.
Yep.
If you don't know what that's referencing, you need to get some comedy in your life.
You're either
because that will make you laugh,
or you're extremely young and you need to get some comedy.
And then you still need to get more comedy in your life, and you need to look that up.
Exactly. Ask your parents. Anyway,
stop groveling.
Do you have do you have a final thought?
I really laid it out on Tuesday, what my final thoughts were. So, and with just everything going on, the more I watch the news, the more more upset. I can't say I'm angry because I'm not really angry. I'm upset and disappointed with the state that we've allowed our country to get to.
Yeah.
There's so much we could have done so much better in so many ways that we've just let things go, let things slide. It's okay. It's fine. Granted, it's not good, but it'll be fine. Next time this person gets into office, it'll be better, and it never is.
No.
And I'm getting very
Anarchistic.
No, I'm not anarchistic. I still hold a lot of libertarian viewpoints. I just can't go full anarchy. It's not in me. I like rules, small ones, not big ones, small ones. Yeah, I guess I'm just getting. I'm just disappointed with where our politicians are and the fact that we can't get one good person into office to do a good job, to fix the problems that we have. Granted, I don't know that one person could do it.
That's the thing.
The only person to come close enough was Trump, and they assassinated him
He still got a lot
politically.
done. But
Yeah.
here's the problem. We have these institutions that are wholesale corrupt on both ends.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just here to pick the bones clean, you know? They
Yeah.
don't have a mission statement. The mission
No.
statement is a ruse. You know? The Republican Party platform, what is that? That's just a screen to go over our eyes while they pick America's carcass clean.
Yep.
You know, so and the Democrats are even worse because the Democrats, their party platform is picking America's carcass clean. So,
yeah.
You know, how can we expect to put people into a system that is designed to make carrion eaters, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're gonna get the person who's principled occasionally, you know, but if they, at this point, if you're looking at a candidate and you see that they've held multiple offices throughout their life and and have worked their way up through the system, they're probably pieces of trash. They're probably absolute garbage.
Yeah, they have no morals.
They have none because they worked their way up through the system. That's how you work your way up through the system. And we know this. We know that politicians are liars. The only way is you have to bank on you have to listen to what they're saying, obviously. We have to look for people with principles. And so, we're going to look for people who talk the talk and walk the walk, for sure. And we've been burned on that front too.
Oh yeah. Plenty of time.
I remember people. Everybody talks about Matt Bevin. Does that name ring a bell? He was like he's like a Kentucky, or he's somewhere in the middle of the country, and he's like a legislator or whatever. And I remember him coming on the Glenn Beck show and saying everything that I wanted to hear. And I was like, this guy's going to be awesome. And apparently it's turned out he's a complete turd. And
of course,
he was pro lockdowns and jab mandates and all that stuff, and it's like, what is going on? And that happens, but the electorate needs to stop. Well, I have other ideas. We need to just abolish the whole system. But if we're going to talk in the terms of what we have and making what we have work, career politicians need to go. We need to get a bunch of young bloods in there who actually freaking care about liberty, and don't have, political authority, and long-term political careers, or esteemed degrees from Harvard Law and all this crap. Um, we need to get people who are people. I mean, like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
What was she before this?
Wasn't she a school teacher?
Yeah, something like that.
I think
She
she was school administrator, I think is what it was.
she wasn't a politician, that's for sure.
No.
I mean, well, school administration, there's some politics there, but not like,
There is.
she didn't start as a comptroller and then made her way up to, state legislature, and then the governor, and then, senator, and now is running for president. It's, it was school administrator and congressman. And,
Yeah.
She stands up for what she freaking believes in. More of that.
Yes. And here's the thing.
But then
they
actually,
have
like,
fully
repealing this stuff.
assassinated her.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
They fully assassinated her.
For sure. They're going to. But who cares? She didn't care. She still says what she wants to say and votes no on all their crap.
Yeah.
And then, we need, but what we really need to do is repeal stuff and undo stuff. We need to do things like ending the electricity monopolies and
repealing Obamacare.
Repealing the income tax.
Oh my God.
Like real liberty things. But are you going to
repealing the IRS?
Oh God, yes. Well, are we going to get that from the Republican Party and the Democrat Party? I don't really think so. I don't think
you'll even get it from the Libertarian Party. And I lean more libertarian than I do anarchist.
That's true. That's true. Although what I'm seeing lately is a lot of fire under the Mises Caucus, which would be what we'd be looking for in a libertarian party.
Yeah.
A Mises Caucus controlled libertarian party might actually get some stuff done. But only time will tell.
Yes. And even then, I'm still skeptical.
But we know what we can do. And again, we're talking on federal levels and so on and so forth. But we can make our cities more free.
Yeah. We make our states better
now. Because we're here, where we can affect where we are way more easily than we can Washington, D.C., because we don't live in Washington, D.C. So that's really also the other way to be thinking. So think locally. Your local administration, your city, your city manager and all that crap, it's way more important.
School.
Your school district, all that stuff is extremely important.
It goes all the way down to your PTA.
For sure.
I didn't realize how much influence I had until I held the purse strings of the PTA over my school. And all of a sudden, oh, dang, I can get stuff done here.
Yeah. And if you homeschool like I do, schools can kick rocks for all I care. But, I don't. But I am for freeing up our schools, our education. And the Department of Education, things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's very complicated, but act locally. Think locally. Transform your local city, your city, the city you're in, and you can see tremendous changes for your life in that regard. There's still a lot of stuff above us holding us down, but you can still a lot can be done for a city. I mean, look up the Free State Project. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they've changed New Hampshire quite a bit just by moving and getting involved in local politics. And, obviously state politics as well, but yeah. Bunch of libertarians moving to one state to turn that state into a libertarian paradise. But there's no reason that can't happen where you are. You just gotta get like-minded people to jump on the bandwagon and start fighting for change. Anyway, on that note, you've been watching Plausible Foolishness, the home of the Rube Empire, where the people are free, the taxes are voluntary, and we serve freshly roasted liberal logic every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. right here on twitch.tv/plausiblepoolishness, YouTube, Facebook Live, anywhere you can get a podcast, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow us on both at @pfoolishness. And we look forward to seeing you there. Help us try to break through these shadow bans on Instagram, and
oh my gosh.
and I'm much more involved on Twitter lately because it's
All of a sudden,
I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm being bombastic.
That you are. Your Twitter feed has been top notch. I'm like, the
one I'm proud of today was it was something about the Democratic Party official Twitter channel, I guess, Twitter feed, whatever, Twitter.
Yeah, their feed.
Okay. They tweeted about Kamala Harris talking about Roe v. Wade, and how it's, blah, blah, blah. The typical bullcrap. And I retweeted with a comment that said, I am Moloch and I approve this message.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty clever. So
I'm sure they really appreciated that.
Yeah, I'm sure that they did. Anything to spread the message of baby murder. They love it.
The message is legs. Let's spread the word.
All right. All right. Peace out, everybody. Peace out, everybody. We will catch you next Thursday. We might even have another show on Tuesday if Ray gets a bee in his bonnet again. And enjoy your weekend. We love you. God bless. Good night.
Later, everybody.